questions. The first is, are you a salon or a spa?
Salon.
Okay. All right. It just helps me when I'm showing you a few things, certain things that are spa specific, we can just skip so we don't have to waste any time there.
Awesome.
The next thing that I want you to be aware of is that I am going to be recording this. And as as recording it, when the class is over, you can ask that a link to the recording be emailed to you. That way you can refer back to it as often as you'd like, whenever you'd like, or even have other people watch the same class that you just attended, okay?
Wonderful.
My pleasure. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that I want you to be aware of is that this is the beginner's class that you've signed up for. Hopefully we do have the other attendees join us, but as a beginner's class, we're going to be focusing on specifically the appointment book and the point of sale and commissions. What we're assuming is that your system is already set up, meaning all of your data entry is already done. You know how to get clients in there, or at least they're in there. Your groups and services and their prices and times have already been set up. You have already set up your inventory, things like that. So this is assuming that your setup is already done. As I said, we're going to be focusing on sort of like the front desk aspects of it. So first things first, though, before we even get into the appointment book or the point of sale, there are a couple of things in the software that need to be set up. And the first thing that we're going to go to is we're going to go to setup, and then from setup, we're going to go to configuration. And from configuration, we're going to go to sales register. And here in sales register, there's two things we want to focus on. One says credit cards accepted, and the other says sales tax rates. Both of those need to be set up before we can do anything in sales. And because this class is going to be talking about sales, I want to touch on those two things first. First, credit cards accepted. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And all you need to do is type in the name and then hit enter. So I could type Visa, enter, MasterCard, enter, American Express, enter, and they will populate in the field below. As you can see, I've got a couple here like Annie, Visa again, and Lydia, because I was showing people how easy it is to simply type in a name for a card and hit enter. This is going to be the list of credit cards that you accept. That way, whether you process credit cards directly through the software through a preferred provider, or you use a separate terminal outside of the software, you'll still be able to keep track of your credit card sales at the point of sale. Next, set up configuration, sales register again. We're going to select sales tax rates. This is where we're able to put in our sales tax rates. So 95% of the time, it's just the retail tax rate that we need to focus on. Whatever your local city's retail tax rate is, that's what you're going to be putting in here. There are a handful of locations that require service taxes and perhaps even an additional retail tax rate, but the vast majority don't. So unless yours do, we'll skip that. You just put in your retail tax rate and press save, and we're done there. Now we're going to talk about the appointment book. By the way, you can probably tell I speak rather rapidly, and I'm trying to get a lot of information in a very short period of time. So please feel free to interrupt me with any questions that you might have, because sometimes if you wait to ask the question till I take a breath, you'll never get your question in until the very end, and then you will have forgotten it. So starting with the appointment book, we're going to talk about the fact that there are 3 different appointment books in the software. There is the day view, which looks something like this, the week view, which looks something like this, and the month view, which looks like this. So they all put appointments on the appointment book. So how do they work? First, the day view. We're going to left click where it says book here. We're going to left click, and that will bring up our day view screen. Our day view screen shows all of the staff members that are working for a particular day. And you can see up to 31 staff members on a single screen. Depending on your number, you may only have a handful. Maybe you've only got 5 people that work for you. Well, then your screen might look something like this. So it can be set up so that it occupies the entire space, no matter how many you have, up to 31 at a time. So once we are in our day view screen and we would like to book an appointment, there are some orders of steps that we have to take. There is who the client is that we want to book for, what group that service belongs in, and what the actual service is. The reason that we choose the group first before choosing the service is because you may have several groups. like I do. I've got Botox and facials and hair and laser and light facial and massage, micro, nails, skincare, waxing, I mean, I've got a bunch. And inside of each of these is a list of services that only apply to that group. If we were looking at all groups, then our list of services will be extremely long.
Okay.
Instead, I choose a group, and that limits the number of services that I actually have to choose from, so it's easier to find, okay?
Okay.
So first things first, we're going to choose a client. If the client is in our database, we simply left-click on this button or type right into this field. So if we're using, for instance, like a touch screen, then it's really simple to just click on client, and then we can use our fingers to touch these buttons to pull up a customer by last name. So for instance, if I wanted to look up somebody by the name of Williams, I could type in W-I and then hit select. And everybody whose last name starts with W-I is going to appear. And I can keep going until I find my Williams. But I could also put in more letters to shorten it. W-I-L-L-I. Whoops, that's only one L. Let's try that again. L-I and select. And now it starts with William. So again, the more information you put in, the shorter the list is going to be. Now, I don't have to use these buttons. I could type. Maybe it's not Williams. Maybe I misheard them. Maybe it's Wiggins. So I type in Wiggins and enter. Again, here's my list of everybody whose last name starts with Wiggins. What if they're not in my database? Instead of left-clicking on this button or typing here, I could right-click on this button and add somebody brand new, somebody for the first time. So I'm going to add somebody brand new named Suzy Guest. Now I can take additional information, like 3 of her numbers or just one, or take her email address. Basically, though, the only information that's required is the first and last name. Now, if I had an opportunity to really chat with this person, I could press more and take a lot more information. Their address, their occupation, how they heard about us, who they prefer to see when they come here, whether or not they want their receipts emailed to them or just printed, whether or not I allow them to pay by check or not, how they would like to have their appointments reminded for confirmations via email or via text. So lots of different information that I can take. But once I've taken whatever information I want, I simply hit save and I can get out. Miss Guest is here now, just like if I had pulled her up off of my list. Now I can choose a group. You said you're a salon, so I'm going to select hair. And I'm going to choose one of my hair services, like for instance, a blow dry and curl. And I'd like to book that with Abigail at 11 o'clock. So under Abigail's column, I find the corresponding row. Here it is, 11 o'clock, and I left click to block out the time. Now this person asked for Abigail, so I can now right click and choose what type of customer they are. Because they asked for Abigail, they're a request, and the appointment is booked. So let's do that again. This time for somebody who's already in my database. This client has a no-show, good to know, and the appointment is booked. Really simple, fast, and easy. So now I'm going to choose again. I'm going to choose Mira Enos. I've got my client. I've got my group. I choose my service. This one I'm going to go with a, we'll say facial highlights, and we'll choose Kathy at 1 o'clock. Left click to block out the time. Right click to choose what type of customer she is. She doesn't care who she sees, so she's a no type. No purple strip down the side, because the purple strip means it's a request. They asked for that person. This person didn't care who they saw, so she's booked with Kathy because Kathy had available time. Any questions on booking an appointment?
No, looking good so far. Oh, actually, yes.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
Why is Tersa her box
good
purple?
Question. Yeah, okay. Well, every one of your services can have its own unique color. Now, what I've done is I've said things like, I want my hair services to be yellow. I want my chemical services to be pink. I want my massages to be green, things like that. Now, that's by group, but you can even do it by individual service. I could have said that a blow dry and curl is yellow and a facial highlights is orange. I could have done that as well. So when you go through the process of setting up your services, you can choose the color based on their group or on individual services. Is that important to you? Would you like me to show you how to do that?
We actually only do hair. So
right, but that's
hopefully
only one group. But you said you only do hair. Do you do chemical services?
I don't believe so. Sorry, I just got hired like yesterday.
Okay, that's okay. Well, I mean, when people do hair, you think of haircuts, updos, women's haircut, men's haircut, children's haircut, curl. But then there's also things like perms and single processes and highlights and all sorts of different things that so most people separate color services or chemical services and stylist services. So that might be two different groups for you.
Okay.
Now, you don't have to do that. You could just create one group called hair and put everything in it, like I did for hair services. But you could, like I said, have multiple groups even in just a unique hair environment.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, I'd love it if you could go into more detail with that.
All right. Well, then I'm going to go to Setup, and then from Setup, I'm going to go to my salon or spa services. And that's going to bring up this window here. Now I could choose any group that I've already created, and I'll choose my hair group, for instance. Now I've got lots of different hair services in here, including some deleted services that I should probably wipe out, but no big deal. So I've got lots of different services in here. Now you'll notice my group color is yellow. So I've said, look, I want all of my hair services to be yellow. But now that they're all yellow, I could choose a handful and just make them something different. So for instance, what about a shampoo set? For whatever reason, I want my shampoo set to be, let's go with this kind of ugly orange here. So I'm going to choose a color. Now I've said my shampoo set is going to be this color. Everything else in my group is yellow, unless there are other things that I changed as well. So we'll save that by hitting save, and now I can cancel out. So let's take a look. I'm going to choose a customer. We'll go with Jim here, and I'm going to stay in my hair group, and I'm going to choose a shampoo set. There it is. And I'm going to book that with Christian at 12 o'clock. Ta-da, it's orange.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
Now, another thing that you may notice is that there's a gap here, just like Tersa's here. She's got a gap. These don't have gaps. So as a hair salon, you do things like single processes and double processes. So your staff, your provider is putting a chemical in, and then they can walk away from the customer. Maybe you don't do it that way, but in a lot of salons they do. They can actually leave them alone while they sit there for a half hour or 20 minutes or 15 minutes or however long that processing time is. Then they come back and finish the job. During that time, they're able to do something else, whether it's have their lunch or maybe book a quick haircut with somebody else. So that's what these are. These gaps here are processing times. So this is a chemical service, this is a chemical service, and that's why they've got these gaps in them, and these are not, and that's why they don't.
Got it.
Same thing, setup, salon services, choose a group like hair. You'll notice if I go to blow dry and go to times, this is called a single, and it's a half hour long. A single means that the provider is with the customer the entire time. However, what if I choose an anti-curl and go to my times? I could say that an anti-curl is a double, and the total time, let's say, is an hour and a half. And my chemical application time is a half hour, and my processing time is a half hour. So what I've done here by choosing a double, now that does not mean double process. People get that confused. Remember, this software doesn't just work for salons. A single means that there's one block of time that the provider is with the customer. A double means that there's 2 blocks of time. And a triple means there's 3 blocks of time. So in a double, I've got 2 blocks of time that the staff member is with the customer with a gap in between. That gap is my processing time. Does that make sense? All right, I'm going to go ahead and save that. So let's book an anti-curl now, and you'll see how it's different now. So I'll choose an anti-curl, and I'll grab a new customer here. Oh, when booking color for Pedro, be sure to add an additional 15 minutes. Oh, good to know. Okay.
Excellent.
I'm not going to do that, but it's good to know. So I'm going to left click to block out the time, and there it is. There's that gap that we put in by creating a double.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. So that's booking an appointment as what we call a single-tiered booking. Now, we also have two-tiered and three-tiered booking, but those are usually just for spas and med spas. So we're going to skip that. The next thing that we're going to talk about is rescheduling or unbooking an appointment. So I'm going to book another service for Pedro here. Whoops, don't need to choose a new client. I've already got him up there. I'll go with a blow dry and curl for him as well. And I'm going to put that right after this one. And it's going to tell me, hey, this client's already got an appointment in this group. Okay, and there it is. So you might not have seen it on the screen, which is why it shows it to you.
Okay.
And so now I'm going to say close, and it says, do you want to book it anyway? Yeah, I do. So there's Pedro. He's got an anti-curl and a blow dry and curl booked. Okay, no problem at all. Now, the reason that it does that is because sometimes Pedro calls and says, hey, I'd like to book an anti-curl for myself at this time, and so you book it. And then his wife calls a couple hours later and says, I'd like to book an appointment for my husband at this time because she thinks he didn't remember. And somebody goes to book it, maybe even with somebody else, and maybe at a different time because whatever it may be. And it'll come up and say, hey, this person's already got an appointment booked in this group. Do you still want to book it? Well, now if you know it's a different group, I mean a different service, especially because it shows it to you, then you can say, yeah, I want to book it anyway. Or it might be the same service and say, oops, well, actually, did you know, Pedro, that you were already booked for 11 o'clock with Matthew? Aha. Okay. So that's why that's there. Okay. So now I've got Pedro booked twice here. Now I'm going to reschedule an appointment. I'm going to check this box that says reschedule. And by doing that, what I've done is I've activated my drag and drop feature. Watch what happens when I don't have it checked. If I click on this appointment, it's going to try to book another appointment somewhere else. Every time I left click, it's trying to book another appointment. But if I check reschedule, then what happens is when I left click on it and I can hold it down, I can move the appointment somewhere else. So now I move it to 11 o'clock, I move it to 12 o'clock, I move it to 2 o'clock, I bring it back up here to 8:30 in the morning, or again, back to 11 o'clock. So rescheduling, super simple. Now what happens when Teresa calls and says, I can't make it today? What other times does Leslie have available this week? There's my kind of a trick, a word there, week. I'm going to right click on Leslie and I'm going to choose go to week view. Now I'm looking at just Leslie's schedule from today for 2 weeks. And I can choose reschedule. And now I can move Teresa to tomorrow at the same time, or maybe to Monday the 4th at 1 o'clock, or maybe to Wednesday the 6th at 9 a.m., or back to 11 o'clock today. So moving appointments around is super simple. And right click, go back to my current day. Okay?
Okay.
So that's rescheduling. Just check that box and you can drag an appointment and dump it somewhere else. And if you'd want to put it on a different day, just go to the person and go to their week view, and then you can move it for up to 2 weeks. And with that little plus or minus up here in the upper left, just like we can add up to 31 employees on a single screen at one time, well, in the week view screen, that plus and minus adds days, up to 31 days on a single screen that you can see at one time. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, what if Teresa would like to unbook her appointment? She's not just rescheduling, so I'm not moving it somewhere else. She calls and says, I can't make it today, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to make it. I'm going to have to call you. Okay, that's different than rescheduling. Thank you, Mr. Baki. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to select Unbook. Now it asks me, are you sure you want to do this? If I say yes, her appointment is going to vanish. If I say no, it'll be like, oh, I made a mistake. That's not who I wanted to unbook. So everything stays the same.
Okay.
Right-click, Unbook. Yes, it will vanish. No, it won't. Okay? Now, what if she's got more than one appointment, like Pedro here? If I right-click here and I say Unbook on Pedro's appointment, it's going to unbook his anti-curl only, and it'll leave his blow dry and curl alone. If I right-click on his blow dry and curl and select Unbook, it will unbook his blow dry and curl, and it will leave his anti-curl alone. Well, I don't want that. So that's why we have Unbook all this day. If I choose unbook all this day, it will unbook his anti-curl and his blow dry. Some people get afraid of this. They see that and they're like, uh-oh, if I choose that, it's going to unbook all these appointments. Of course not. Why would we do that? No.
Okay.
Unbook all this day only unbooks the appointments for a particular person that you have right-clicked on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And you may not see all of their appointments on the screen at the same time. So by choosing unbook all this day, you can make sure that you get them all, even if you don't see them all. You know, like this one's easy. They're right next to each other. But what if one of his appointments was up here with Abigail and another one was down here with Kathy and then one was down over here with Melinda?
Okay.
Then you may not see them all. So selecting unbook all this day just kind of protects you. You know that you're getting them all.
Okay.
All right. So let's do it. This time we're going to choose unbook all this day. Are you sure you want to unbook all of the client's appointments for this day? Yes. And they're both gone. Okay?
Got it.
All right. So that is booking, unbooking, and rescheduling appointments. Do you have any question for me on that?
You know what? I think I'm okay. We did a little bit of it at the salon yesterday. So
Okay.
you're
all right, sure.
clearing things up for sure.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the month view. I showed you the day view, and the week view is essentially the same thing. Let's jump to the week view. By the way, the week view you can get to without you don't have to right-click on somebody's name and choose go to week view. You could have right-clicked on this button instead of left-clicking. And by right-clicking, it takes you right to the week view, and then you can just choose anyone you want, like Matthew or Pamela. Just choose whoever it is, and you're going to get that person's schedule for the next 2 weeks. That's the week view. Now, as far as booking goes, their services, only the services that Anna offers are going to be listed. So let's go with Debbie here. Now I'm looking at Debbie's schedule for the next 2 weeks, and now only her services will be listed here, so I don't have to worry about choosing a group. So I could go with something like a cut and color, and now I can choose my customer. And I'll go with Judy Daly here, and I'm going to book that on Saturday, September 2nd at 11 a.m. Left click, right click, and the appointment is booked. So you can book right through the week view as well. Now let's talk about booking through the month view. If I go to appointments here and select month view, this screen comes up. If I'm in the appointment book, I can go to month view here, and there's that same screen. Also, even in my point of sale, I can go to book appointments and choose month view, and again, there's that same screen. So how does it work? Well, the system is going to show you your current month. Well, today is August 30th, so it's showing me August, and whatever the current day is going to be italicized. And then every other day available that month that you can book an appointment on will be black, like the 31st here. So I'm highlighted black. So now today, this isn't a really good example because we've only got 2 days left in this whole month, today and tomorrow. If I chose September, now I see something a little bit more complete from the 1st to the 30th, and they're all black except for, notice, Sunday. They're all grayed out. Why? Because this business is closed on Sundays. Now, when I choose an employee, if I choose Christian, nothing really happens. He works 6 days a week. But watch what happens when I choose Ashley. Wednesday and Thursdays just grayed out as well because she doesn't work those days. So now I'm left with only the days that she can work. Then I choose a service that I'd like to book for her. Now, in this case, I don't actually have Ashley set up for services, so let's go back to Christian. His days are back. And I can choose a service like, let's say, an anti-curl with women's haircut. Notice, this is an hour and 45 minutes long. It's a fairly long appointment. What if, let's just pretend that on the 7th, he had a busy day, and even though he had a few half hours gaps in there where you could book an appointment for him, so therefore the 7th would still be black because it said, yeah, you can book appointments for him. But then when you chose a service that was an hour and 45 minutes long, he didn't have any available time that long. Then if that was the case, the 7th would have grayed out. In other words, you are left with only the days that he could do that service. They will automatically gray out for you. Then when you choose a day, it will give you the available times that he could do that service. There may only be one when you choose it. There may be 3 or 4. There may be, like, because this is sample data and it's wide open, there may be a whole bunch. But there may only be one. So you could choose a time like 2 o'clock. And now I'm saying Thursday, September 7th, Christian for an anti-curl with haircut at 2 p.m. Choose my customer, whoever they may be. Go with Donna. You still have to choose their client type. She asked for Christian, and book it. The appointment has been booked. Well, let's take a look. Let's go to our appointment book, and let's go to the 7th. So here we are on September 7th, and there's Donna Fabiani at 2 o'clock for an anti-curl and haircut. There it is.
Oh.
So the month view is, you know, a lot of people look at that and they're like, I'm not going to use that. It's the day view and the week view are really easy. When you start getting used to using the month view, of course, it really only works if the customer knows who they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But if the customer knows who they want to see, this is the quickest and easiest way to do it. And it's really simple. Okay. So we've talked about in the appointment book, booking appointments, unbooking appointments, rescheduling appointments, and we've talked about the day view, the week view, and the month view. There's a lot more to the appointment book, but for the sake of this beginner's class, we've covered the basics, and now we're going to go to our point of sale. But before we do, I want to ask, do you have any questions on the appointment book before we move to the point of sale?
For scheduling another appointment in the gap, such as with Christian, is it essentially the same as scheduling a regular appointment? You just click in that empty space?
That's exactly right. In fact, let's just very quickly do it. Let's grab Claudia here, and let's choose a haircut because that's going to be only 30 minutes long. Well, maybe a female haircut's longer. No, 30 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to go right down here to Jim Fabiani. There's that gap. And I'm going to left click to block out the time. I'm going to right click to choose what type of customer they are. And Claudia here has been booked for a haircut right in the middle of Jim Fabiani's appointment.
Excellent.
Now you'll notice, by the way, that Tersa's purple strip down the side is one solid strip. But you'll notice Jim's isn't anymore. Okay? So that's because she's got another appointment in here. Also, there is a preference setting. So if you look at this and say, I'm not going to be able to tell if this is the end of Jim's appointment or not because they're the same color. Maybe this was all yellow. So I'd have yellow here, and yellow here. And that's fine. But you might say, I need to make sure that I know that this is the end of Jim's appointment. There is a preference setting where you can have the finish time actually have the word finish on it. So then instead of just being a blank orange square here, it would say finish in it. So then you know that it belongs to this one here.
Okay.
Okay, it's up to you. Any other questions on the appointment book before we continue?
No, we've covered everything pretty well so far.
All right. Yeah, the basics anyway. All right,
yeah.
So now what we'd like to do is check out of the appointment book. I mean, not check out of the, check out of the salon. We want to pay. So here's Suzy, and she would like to pay for her blow dry and curl. Now I'm at the front desk and I'm booking appointments, so I've got my appointment book up. Suzy walks up, I find her appointment, I right click, and I select check out. And it opens my point of sale, which Suzy's ticket already filled in. Suzy guest saw Abigail for a blow dry and curl for $50. Maybe while she was there, she was upsold. So I'm going to click on service and say that Debbie also gave her a bang trim. So now she got a blow dry and curl from Abigail and a bang trim from Debbie. So now she owes me. So I've added to the ticket even though she didn't have an appointment for the bang trim. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear that without processing it out, and I'm going to exit out of my point of sale, and I'm going to exit out of my appointment book. Why? Because I want to show you how to do it without being in the appointment book. I'm going to click on sales. So I've got my point of sale screen up now, and I'm not in my appointment book, and Suzy Guest walks up to the front desk. I can use my drop down here, and everybody who is listed with an appointment today is going to be on this list. And there's Suzy. I can click on her name and it'll fill in the ticket, just like when I did it from the appointment book. Suzy saw Abigail for a blow dry and curl for $50. And
Excellent.
if I wanted to, I can add the bang trim just like I did before. So you don't have to be in the appointment book to use this. Now, I do want you to notice that this is not alphabetical. There are two ways that you can do this. You can either do this in order of checkout or in alphabetical order. It's totally up to you. It's a preference setting. I've got mine set up in order of checkout. So as they come to the front desk, they should be at or near the top, depending on what time of day it is. So it should be very easy to find them. The other way is alphabetical order. Now, if you've got, 15 appointments at a time on here, then maybe alphabetical order is the easiest way to do it. But if you've got 100 appointments, then having it set for the order of checkout is definitely the best way, because they're going to be one of the first handful of appointments that you see, because that's the time they're checking out. So I choose this guest here. She saw Abigail. She got a blow dry and curl. She saw Debbie. She got a bang trim. Good to go. Now, am I ready to accept her payment? Not necessarily, because most customers want to leave a tip. Now, if she's going to pull cash out of her pocket and go hand it to Abigail and then go hand it to Debbie, that's one thing. But if she wanted to add some to a credit card, for instance, then you may want to keep track of that by clicking on gratuity. Now, I could put a dollar amount in for Debbie, and I could put a dollar amount in for Abigail, or I could just say 15% and let it do the math for me. So now Debbie's going to get $225, and Abigail is going to get $750.
Oh, okay.
Now, is she done? Am I ready to go to payment? Maybe not. Maybe she's walked over to the wall and pulled a bottle of shampoo off the wall. So I can scan that product with my barcode scanner. Or if I don't have a barcode scanner, I can type in a SKU number like I just did. And then I can choose the person who made the sale. Or if I don't have that, I could have clicked on retail and looked up a product by name. So I don't know the SKU number, I don't have a barcode scanner, so I'm going to look it up by name. I can do it that way as well. But once I've pulled up my product and chosen who is making the sale, that becomes part of the ticket. And of course, my local retail tax becomes part of my sale as well. Now I'm ready to process out. So I go to payment. And I can accept payment in cash, or as a personal check, or as a credit card. Now remember earlier I said to make that list of credit cards? Mm-hmm. If you're processing directly through the software using our preferred provider, then you would, at this time, click on this credit button and stick the card into the chip reader. If you are not using our preferred provider, it's going to look like this instead. And you're going to process the credit card through that separate machine outside of the software, but you're still going to keep track of what card was used. That way, your reporting is accurate and your drawer is accurate. Now, we could also accept a gift card or a gift certificate. You cannot accept a gift card or gift certificate through the software if you haven't sold it through the software first. Okay. So you must sell a gift certificate in the software in order to use it in the software. Now, I don't want to mislead you. Some people hear me say that and they're like, oh, of course, that's how you make your money. Guess what? We don't charge any kind of fees at all. The only way that any company is going to be charging you a fee is if you charge yourself, which you're not going to do. So gift cards and gift certificates have no third-party authorization. They have no per-swipe fees, no fees associated with them whatsoever. So you sell the gift certificate through the software, then you can use it through the software. And you can also click on status and look up the certificate to see how much money is on it before you use it. Okay. Or you can simply put in a card number and it will show you the balance on that card. Then we also have this one, which is series. Series allows you to sell the same service multiple times. Like, for instance, let's say that somebody comes in for, what would be a service that gets repeated? Well, a haircut, for instance. Mm-hmm. And let's say that somebody comes in for a haircut, and they're the kind of person that likes to come in every, I don't know, let's say 4 weeks to get their hair cut. Now, let's say that they're a regular customer, you've gotten to know them pretty well, and it's $50 a haircut. And maybe there's a cash flow issue, so you say, hey, you know what? If you buy 5 haircuts at one time, they're $50 each, that would be $250. We're going to sell you 5 haircuts at one time for $225. It's about a 20% savings. Okay, so the customer says, ooh, that's a good deal, I'll do it. So he buys 5 haircuts at one time for $225, gets his little discount. That's a series. If you have series, you can sell them. That's what this button here is for, series. If you have sold a customer a series, then they can use it as a method of payment. If they have a series on file, it will show. So it might say something like, for instance, she's getting a blow dry and curl and a bang trim. So let's say it was a blow dry and curl series of 5. So it would say blow dry and curl series of 5, 4 of 5 remaining, 3 of 5 remaining, 2 of 5 remaining. They can use it as a method of payment until it is zeroed out. Then they can either buy them individually again, or they can purchase a new series. Okay?
Okay.
The next one here is on account. On account is popular usually when a customer is giving you has given you a deposit. So maybe you do like a wedding party or something like that. And you say, you know what, I'm going to have 5 people coming in and they're getting 3 different services because they're all getting their hair curled or an updo. They're all getting shampoo and then an updo, and then we're going to do their makeup. So 3 different services, 5 people, that's 15 services that I'm scheduling. Boy, if they don't show, I'm really screwed. So we're going to take a deposit from them. Okay, so if you have a deposit, then on account allows you to take money off of the deposit. So whomever gave you the deposit, that's the person who you're going to be able to take the money off of. So if Suzy here gave you a deposit of $500, I could then go to on account and take this $97.69, and now she has $402.31 remaining on deposit.
Okay.
Now, what if she paid $500 for 5 different people? Each one of them gets checked out. We can change the payee to Suzy and take the money off of her deposit. Okay?
Okay.
And then we've got, now you're not part of a hotel or resort, are you?
No.
Okay, then we're going to skip that because that's charging to rooms. Then we have traveler's check. Again, not usually used in most places anymore, except unless you're in a hotel or resort. And then finally we have other, not finally, but second to last, other, which allows you to create your own unique methods of payment. So maybe the electrician comes in and does your wiring, so you do his wife's hair or whatever it may be. And so you still want to keep a record of it. You still want to pay the commission to your staff member. You still want to show that she came in and got these services on this date at this time by this person, but you're not taking any money in or a gift certificate or anything like that. That would be something like other, perhaps.
Okay.
And then you've got, finally, rewards points. Now, we really talk about rewards points in the advanced class, not really in this beginner's class, but I just want you to understand what it is. Think of rewards points like airline miles. Your customers can earn points by getting services from you or buying product from you or even giving you referrals. They can then turn around and use those points to get discounts or freebies from your salon. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's do it. Let's go to payment. And let's say she's going to pay me cash. She's going to give me $100 and accept. Now, if I wanted to create a receipt, as long as this is blue, a receipt's going to be created. And it's either going to email it to her or it's going to print it out.
Okay.
If it's gray, a receipt will not be generated. And I hit accept. Change is due. Good to know. Ask client if they'd like to book their next appointment. I'm going to say no to that for now, and I'm done. Let's take a look at Miss Guest. There she is. If I go to her history, I can see that on August 30th of 2017, she saw Abigail and got a blow dry and curl. She saw Debbie and got a bang trim. She also was sold a Just an All-in-One shampoo by Leslie. Notice these are all the same transaction. So I could highlight any one of them and view the whole thing. There it all is, including the gratuities and the sales tax and how it was paid.
Okay.
Can you do multiple methods of payment? Yes, you can. So Teresa has come in. She got a blow dry and curl for $50. We go to payment. She would like to give me $25 in cash and put the rest on her credit card. And accept. So let's take a look. If I go to her history, I can see that on August 30th, she saw Leslie for a blow dry and curl. Let's highlight it and view the transaction. Teresa saw Leslie for a blow dry and curl, and she paid $25 in cash and $25 on Visa. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So you can certainly keep track of multiple methods of payment, and not just 2, by the way. You can have an unlimited number of payments, payment types. So a customer could pay with credit card, cash, gift certificate, series, the works, all on the same ticket. Okay?
Okay. Can you pay on 2 separate credit cards?
Yes, absolutely. So
Okay.
let's just do it. I'll go to Teresa here. She owes me $170, and I'm going to go to payment. And I'm going to choose credit card as the method of payment. Let's get rid of that. She's going to pay me $80 on Visa and accept. And we're not done. She still owes me $90 credit card.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that she's giving me $90 on American Express. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a look. There she is. And we'll go to our history. There's Debbie. August 30th, she saw Debbie for an anti-curl haircut and view transaction. She paid $80 on Visa, $90 on American Express.
Excellent.
Even if you're processing directly through the software, same thing, no problem at all. Any other questions on that before we continue?
No, not so far.
Okay, now again, just like the appointment book, here in the point of sale, there's a lot more that we haven't discussed. We didn't show you how to sell a gift card or gift certificate, or how to sell a series or create series. We didn't show you how to sell a membership or create memberships, things like that. We didn't talk about transaction notes, or setting pop-ups at the point of sale, or printing or emailing a duplicate receipt. So there's a lot more to the point of sale, adding coupons or discounts or modifying the price at the point of sale. But again, for the basics, we've covered that. So for the purposes of brevity, we're about to move to commissions and reports. Before we do that, is there anything else you'd like to see in the point of sale before we continue?
Just a quick question. If you select receipt and it doesn't print out, then obviously they have selected email, right?
More than likely, but it will actually tell you. So if it's going to do a receipt and you process the sale and this is blue, so it's going to make the receipt and you accept, then a window will pop up that says receipt has been emailed to customer.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so if that's the case. If not, you'll see it printing.
Yeah.
Okie doke.
Great.
Any other questions?
No, my only other questions were selling gift cards and creating series, but that will be covered in the next class. So.
Well, actually, I'm happy to go over that with you right now because we don't actually really cover those in the next class. Those are just because those are fairly simple, and so most people just call in and say, hey, how do I do this? Or they go to live chat and say, how do I do this? In the next class, as far as point of sale is concerned, we really focus on the rewards points.
Okay.
So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about selling a gift certificate. So let's pull somebody up, not somebody who's got an appointment, but somebody brand new. So we'll choose up somebody that's in our database. So I'll go with Bryant Haddock here. I don't use him for anything. So here's Bryant, and I would like to sell him a gift card or gift certificate. There's going to be one of two ways that this is going to come up. So when I click on this, this is one of the ways. This is, I get to take who is purchased by, create who it was purchased for, and maybe, by the way, this person's already in my database that they're buying it for, so I could do this and say, or I could even say he's buying it for himself, so I could do that. Or I could have changed that and said, no, he's buying it for Christina Hadford. Okay, so now I've got this person in. If I've got their information, then this would have already pre-filled in. If I don't have their information, I could fill it in now or not. Then I'm going to choose either from my gift packages if I have any. If not, then I can simply put in a dollar amount, like $100. And I put in an expiration. And I can use the calendar or not, or I could just type it in, just hit cancel and type it in. So I could say 09/01 of 20 and tab. There we go. So I put in 09/01/20 and hit tab, and it formats it for me. And now, who sold it? I'm going to say it was sold by Angie. And how did they hear about us? I could choose that. I don't have to.
Okay.
Also, am I printing this certificate? If print off is set, then no, I'm not. Maybe I've already got them pre-made, and all I need to do is copy this number down onto the pre-made piece of paper.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 6. There we go. Okay. Now I've got some other options here. Do not mail, recipient, etc. Don't have to worry about any of this because I've already said I'm not printing it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to accept it. This client name is already on file. Would you like to view it? No, I'm good. Okay, so Bryant Haddock bought a gift certificate for $100, and we go to payment. So now he's going to pay in one of the multiple ways. Choose $100, accept $100. That gift certificate now exists. So
awesome.
Let's pull it up here. Christina is who he bought it for. Christina saw Christian and got a blow dry and curl. And we're going to go to payment. Oh, you know what? Let's do a gratuity as well. Say 15% and payment. She would like to use her gift certificate. Click. Put in our number. Now, if it's a gift card, we can just swipe it. If it's a gift certificate, we can scan the barcode.
Okay.
If it is a if you don't have a barcode scanner, then you can type the number in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 6. Enter. Balance on file, $100. And accept. And accept. And let's take a look. Let's go to her history. There it is. Saw Christian for blow dry and curl for $50. Highlight, view the transaction. Gratuity as well. Gift certificate number, paid. Now,
awesome.
She comes back maybe a week later or whatever it is, and she sees Christian again. And this time she gets an anti-curl with haircut. She owes me $180. And she hands me her gift card or gift certificate. And she says, how much do I have left on this? I don't know. Let's find out. So I can either just put the number in or I could hit status. But I could just put the number in as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 6. Enter. You have $35 left on it. Would you like to use it? She says yes. Accept. She still owes me $145, which she's going to give me in credit card. And we'll do a Discover card this time, and accept, and accept, and done. And if we take a look again, we can see that on this day, she got the anti-curl with haircut, do the transaction. She paid for $35 with the gift certificate and $145 on Discover.
Okay. One last quick question.
Go ahead,
in
please.
the credit card section, it says no validation. What is that?
Okay, so let's pull up somebody here really quick. Go to payment. Okay, so if somebody is going to pay with credit card, if you are processing directly through the software, so you've got your system linked into the software, then you're going to press this button. And that's when you're going to swipe the card or stick it into the chip reader, okay? And you're going to get your authorization right through here. Now, let's just say that your machine is broken, or let's say that you cannot read their card, no matter what you do. The chip is not working, the swipe's not working, but you're going to type in the number or something like that. Then you can do a manual authorization.
Okay.
You can click on this and type in the number, or if your machine's not working, you can do a manual authorization where it'll give you the numbers to call, and you call them and give them the information. You know the way that works. They'll give you an authorization number. So let's go back here. If, however, you are not processing, now I've got it set up to process directly through the software. If you are not processing through the software, you're not getting your validation through the software. You're getting it through that separate terminal outside of the software. And so it's going to look like this.
Got it.
Instead of looking like this, it's going to look like this.
Okay.
Any other questions before I continue?
No, thank you.
All right. Okay, so then the next thing that we're going to be talking about is commissions. There are 3 different types of commissions in the software. There is sliding scale commissions, standard rate commissions, and dollar amount commissions. So before I show you how to set them up, I want to explain to you just very briefly what it is they are. A sliding scale is when Suzy's my employee and I say, you know what, Suzy, when you sell services for your pay period, which is, let's say, a 2-week pay period, from $0 to $750, I'm going to give you 50%. And from $751 to $1,500, I'm going to give you 55%. And from $1,501 to $2,500, I'm going to give you 60%. That's a sliding scale, okay?
Okay.
And you can have up to 6 different scales on our sliding scale. A standard rate would be where I say, hey, Suzy, I'm going to give you 50% commission on all the services you do. Or I'm going to give you 50% commission on this service and 45% commission on that service and 30% commission on this service. That's standard rate commissions. And then finally, there's dollar amount, where I say, instead of giving you a percentage, I say, I'm going to give you $50 for doing this service, $35 for doing this service, $80 for doing that service. It's no longer a percentage. That means no matter what your price is, that's a dollar amount she gets. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So those are the 3 different types of commissions that you can set up in the software. And you do that by going to payroll. And under payroll, you have employees. the first thing you need to do is add your employees, and you do that by selecting Add New. Now, I've already got 9 employees in my system. You know how I know? Because my next employee number is 10.
Okay.
So I've got some employees already in there, so I'm going to go down to my commission schedules, and I'm going to go to my sliding commissions, and I'm going to select Add Modify Tables. And this is where I get to put in my scale. So I could say for Devin here, from $0 to $1,499, he gets 60%. From $1,499 and a penny to $2,000, he gets 62%. From et cetera, et cetera. And then I can do the very same thing for retail sales. I think I've got somebody set up for retail. Yeah, here we go. In retail for Christopher here, 0 to 500, 5%, 500 and a penny to 750, $7.50, 750 and a penny to 1,500, 10%, etc., up to 6 different scales. So that's one way to set up commission. The next is to go to my commission rates and go to my service rates. And now I can choose someone like Angie and say for all her services, she gets 50% and accept. Easy.
Okay.
Done. She gets 50% on everything she does. But what if she gets 50% on most of the things she does, but not everything? Well, then I can choose an individual service, like a blow, dry, and curl, and say she gets 45% on that one. Everything else is still 50. And
okay.
on a color one step, she gets 55%. So I can do individuals after I've done a blanket. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, if she's got a really complicated commission structure, and every service is a different commission, that's fine. But what if you say, okay, everyone is a different, excuse me, it's very complicated. It took me a half hour to set up her commissions, and her commission is exactly the same as some other person. So then I could choose, maybe I already set up Anna, it took me a half hour. I could choose Anna and hit accept, and Angie's commission will then be copied from Anna.
Oh, okay.
Just
Excellent.
save me some time.
Yeah.
All right, and then finally I can go down to my dollar amounts. And that's where I get to choose a particular person like Anna and say when she does a back facial, she gets this dollar amount rather than a percentage.
Okay.
And again, if you did that for all of your services, and you've got a whole bunch of them here, I got to get rid of those deleted services, but you've got all of these different services, and you say, okay, I've got a different dollar amount for each one of those, but that's what I do for most of my people, so then we can make it the same as somebody that we already did it for. Again, saving us a lot of time. Okay?
Awesome.
All right. That is setting up the commissions. Once that's done, we can go to reports. We go to sales, operator reports, commission reports, and all of our different commission reports are going to be here. Based on what type of commission you set up, that's going to determine what type of report you run. If you're doing standard rate commissions, then you want number 121 or 203 or 220 or 105, even 233. But if you're doing dollar amount, then you would want 235
okay.
or 106. If you wanted sliding scale, you're going to choose whether or not you do it with or without back bar. And you've got all of these different sliding scale reports to go with as well. So again, lots of different reports, and they're all going to be determined based on what type of commission you've set up. Okay? You can practice with them, play with them, basically. See what information you're getting after you've set up commission for somebody. That is it. That's the basic beginner's class. Do you have any other questions for me? Let me ask you, would you like me to email you this class that you just took?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, that was my question. Is the recording, does that also include all of the visual stuff from the screen or just our conversation?
No. It shows absolutely the screen. You'll see the screen. You'll see everything you just saw. And you'll hear me and you. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, I would love it if you could send that to me.
Okay. I've got Suzy.Colombo, all O's, @gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Then you will have that link probably within the hour.
Awesome.
All right, Suzy, you have a wonderful day. Unless you have any other questions for me, I'm going to go ahead and end the class.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Matt.
My pleasure. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.